Hey there, Jeep owners. If you're here, it probably means you've seen that dreaded check engine light pop on, and you've come to the right place. Today, we are cracking the code on one of the most frustrating errors out there, P105C. All right, let's get into it.
So, you see that little light? Your stomach does a little flip, and you're just left staring at your dashboard thinking, what on earth are you trying to tell me? Well, that code, P105C, might seem like a total mystery, but don't you worry. It's a very specific message, and today we're going to translate it for you, piece by piece.
Here's our game plan for today. Think of it as our diagnostic roadmap. First, we're going to define what the P105C problem actually is. Then, we'll take a quick peek under the hood at your engine's breathing system. After that, we'll play detective and investigate the 5 main causes, find the right fix for each one, and finally, we'll wrap up by talking about why you absolutely should not ignore this code.
So let's jump right in. Section 1, the P105C code problem. You gotta understand, this isn't just some random blinking light. It's a very precise signal from your Jeep about one specific thing that's gone wrong inside your engine.
And there you have it. The official technical meaning is that your intake valve is stuck in the low lift position. Now, what in the world does that mean in plain English? Well, think of your engine like a pair of lungs. It needs to breathe in just the right amount of air to run properly. Low lift means one of those lungs isn't opening up all the way. It's like it's trying to run a marathon while only being able to take shallow breaths, and that's seriously hurting its performance.
To really get what's going on, we need to understand the system where the problem is happening. So let's move on and, metaphorically speaking, pop the hood to take a quick look at your engine's breathing system. This is where all the magic and, sometimes the trouble really happens.
The star of the show here is something called the Variable Valve Lift Solenoid, or VVL solenoid for short. Think of this little guy as the brain of the whole breathing operation. It's basically a super smart valve that shoots pressurized engine oil at the rocker arms. That oil pressure is the force that physically tells the intake valves when to open and exactly how far. When it's working right, your engine breathes like an Olympic athlete. When it's not, well, that's when you get that dreaded P105C code. All right, time to put on our detective hats. In Section 3, we are officially investigating the causes. We know what's wrong and where it's happening, but now we need to figure out why. So let's round up the usual suspects behind this pesky error code.
Here is our lineup. It turns out that P105C code can almost always be traced back to one of these 5 culprits: a stuck VLVL solenoid, a broken or even missing lock pin, what we call improper rocker arm clearance, a worn-down camshaft lobe, or a worn-out rocker arm. We're going to take a closer look at each.
So suspect number 1 is the VVL solenoid itself. If this thing gets gunked up with old oil or just fails electrically, it can get stuck wide open. Now, imagine a faucet that's just stuck on full blast. That's kind of what's happening. It's sending a nonstop stream of high-pressure oil when it shouldn't be, and that force literally locks the intake valve in place, stopping it from lifting like it should, and boom, the code gets triggered.
Next on our list is the rocker arm lock pin. I know, it's a tiny little part, but its job is hugely important. This little pin is responsible for locking the rocker arms together so they're perfectly aligned. If that pin snaps or just plain falls out, that alignment is completely gone. It's a perfect example of how one small missing piece can cause a massive communication breakdown inside your engine.
Suspect number 3 is all about precision. There's a very, very specific gap that needs to exist between the rocker arm and the camshaft lobe. We're talking tiny. If that clearance is too big, maybe from a previous repair that wasn't done quite right or just an installation error, the whole mechanism just can't engage properly, and you guessed it, the valve gets stuck. Now we're getting into issues of just plain old wear and tear. The high-lift camshaft lobe is a part that's always in motion, spinning thousands and thousands of times, and over a long enough time, it can simply wear down. If this lobe gets too worn out, it physically can't push the valve mechanism the way it's designed to, and that leads directly to our error code. And our final suspect is pretty much the same story, just a different part: the rocker arm itself. After countless cycles of opening and closing that valve, the arm can get worn down right at the point where it makes contact. When that happens, it just loses its ability to move the valve correctly, causing it to get stuck. Okay, we've identified all 5 of our suspects. Now for the part you've been waiting for: finding the right fix. In this section, we are going to match a clear, direct solution to every single one of the problems we just uncovered. And you know what? The great thing here is that the path forward is pretty clear. The logic is actually beautifully simple. If the VVL solenoid is stuck, you replace the solenoid. Is the little lock pin missing? You reinstall it. Is the clearance off? You check it and adjust it. And for those wear and tear problems, if the camshaft lobe or the rocker arm is worn out, the fix is to replace that specific part. So the absolute key is this: correctly diagnose the specific cause, and you will know the exact fix. So we know the problems, and we know the solutions. But you might be wondering, why does this one little code matter so much? In our final section, let's talk about the big picture takeaway and why just ignoring this light is a really bad idea. I'm just going to read this quote directly because it really says it all. If left unresolved, it can lead to more serious engine problems. See, the P105C code is way more than just an annoyance. It's an early warning system. Letting it go isn't just bad for your performance. It can actually escalate and cause more widespread, more serious, and way more expensive damage to your engine. So here's the bottom line. The one thing you should take away from all this: that P105C code is a critical health update from your engine. By figuring out what's wrong and fixing it, whether it's a simple pin or a worn out part, you are actively preventing bigger, uglier problems down the road. It's just proactive care for your Jeep. At the end of the day, that check engine light isn't your enemy. It's not there just to frustrate you. It's there to inform you. Now that you know how to translate what P105C really means, there's only one question left. Your engine is trying to tell you something. Are you listening?